Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dissecting Dance, Kicking It with Rand podcast, the podcast that opens up discussions about topics in dance. The goal of this podcast is to allow dancers and non-dancers alike to think about dance from new perspectives, as well as leaving room for discussion. Enjoy the show! Hello, everybody, and welcome to pre-show editor mode, whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to let you all know before we start that we somehow got this episode into 3 parts. So this is the second part. And then I'm going to post the first part and then the third part. You shouldn't be able to tell that there was a first part aside from the fact that we mentioned that there's a first part. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy this show. So like I said, this is part 2. And then part 1 will come out, which is about an entirely different topic. And then part 3 kind of ties both together. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dissecting Dance, Kicking It with Rem podcast from Chicago. Again, because you know what happened last episode? We talked a lot. And we were supposed to incorporate our experience at the TV convention in...
I'm sorry.
We were supposed to incorporate it in one episode, but there's so much to talk about because this was our first convention that we decided, by we I mean me because it's my podcast. But it was kind of like we kind of instinctively knew that this was going to be a part 1, part 2 situation. So yeah, we're not talking about, if you want to hear our review on the convention that we attended, check it out in the last episode. I don't know what date it was posted, but it was the last one, the one before. So, bestie, my bestie's back again. I don't remember if I introduced you by name or not.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, you did. But I'm back. I'm here. We didn't even talk about how we're besties.
We didn't. We didn't even talk about how our birthdays are literally a day apart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, for context, Renan and I work together in admissions.
Yes.
At our college. Did you name your college?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, at college, we worked in admissions together, and I worked in, English. I started working in admissions my freshman year, so this was after the pandemic, back in person, and this office put me on tour duty. Ugh. I say ugh, I actually really love giving tours, but when we first got back, I wasn't hired to give tours. So then we got back, and they were like, you need to do tours. And I said, excuse me? Who's doing tours?
Bestie, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm on tour duty. It's a Saturday. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a Saturday, because you only did Saturdays at the beginning. So it's a Saturday. So now I'm really annoyed, because I didn't want to be on tour duty, and now I have to work a Saturday.
Boo.
Boo. I actually love Saturday tours. They're the most fun. But
they're more fun when you are with friends.
Friends. Yes.
That's the big one.
That's true. Very true. But I don't really remember what happened. Or how we got put together outside.
I remember what happened.
Okay, please explain.
I remember what happened. No, I will never forget. So, there was a scandal, which I'm not going to get into because it wasn't our scandal. Mm-hmm. But we were literally, we were both, somehow placed in, similar areas. And one of the other tour guides was telling us about another tour guide. Mm-hmm. And I think she left. And then we stayed together. And then you asked me... Do you remember this?
I kind of do, yeah.
You were like, have you watched Bo Burnham's Inside? We were just literally, I don't remember what we were talking about before, but I was like, but you were like, you would really like that. And we hit it off pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
It was pretty instant.
And that's, crazy, too, because I don't really share with people that I like Bo Burnham just because I feel like Bo Burnham has a reputation that I don't want. No, I love Bo Burnham, but if you look at
he had a rough past.
Yes, he did, which he acknowledges. This is not a Bo Burnham. We're not talking about Bo Burnham today. But
no.
Just tangent. But it's not, I just think that's the one part of me I think truly doesn't fit my vibe.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't think you would look at me and be like, that girl likes Bo Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really, I just like got the vibe. I was like, yeah, you would like Bo Burnham.
And I did.
And it was spectacular. And then we also talked about getting a sign.
We
handles.
did. We did.
Because we had a sign and we were like, we should get handles.
Right, exactly. Like, we were literally holding up this, like, sign, but it was, like, this, like, nasty plastic cardboard material. It was gross. And then I said, you know how much handles, like, cost? To just have one handle. And you could spin it.
Spin it!
And then I started throwing it.
Yep. And then that was also the day we were like, we should have an admissions TikTok.
Exactly. And I think we talked about that multiple times. Multiple times.
Because after this first shift, when we realized that we were going to be friends.
Yeah.
It was like every time. And then I think you started coming around the office more too. I don't remember how we just started seeing each other more. But we just started seeing each other, and every tour shift that we did together was just so fun.
It was so fun.
So then we were
Loved
like,
it.
You know what we should do? We should go out to dinner. So then we went out to dinner on like a Tuesday, and
it was a Tuesday
nights, and these were literally like the highlights of my week. Like, and
mine too.
I literally had it on my calendar, dinner with Ren, every Tuesday for the entire semester. Like, I'm like, people would ask me, "Are you free?" No, I'm not. I'm going to dinner with Ren. Like, and we would go to Grill Cheese and Co. And then we would drive to the airport place and watch airplanes.
Right, like our local airport has like an observatory, and we'd always go later at night because no one would be there to be annoying or obnoxious. And literally, we would like, it was so fun. Like, this was one of my fondest memories of when I was in college, because I graduated. In case you didn't know, podcast.
Yeah. Woo-hoo!
Finally. No, but literally, our conversations would be, you would rant for as much as you needed to, and then I would rant as long as we needed to, and then somewhere in the middle of that, we were like, we should probably head back.
Yeah.
And then we would keep ranting.
Because the observatory closed at like 10.
Yeah.
And then the cops would start coming.
It starts circulating because people would start doing illegal things at the time.
So we'd be like,
formally illegal
back.
Things.
Yeah. We'd be like, let's go back. We go park in the parking garage, and then we talk again for like
another 2 or 3 hours.
And we never run out of stuff to talk about. And the other thing too is that like we're both so, and this is a nice segue, we're both so entrenched in pop culture. And so like, in the middle of our rants, we'll be like, do you know what I saw on TikTok today?
And then we both, we already saw it.
Exactly. So it's like, we don't need to do the background, catching people up. Like, let's get into it.
Exactly.
Let's get into it, and let's actually dissect what's going on in our culture, pop culture right now.
Exactly. And like, what's really funny, like, I still find, like, I'm, like, you're like the designated person. Like, I'll see something on my For You page. Like, I'm just gonna say up front what this trend was. The makeup, the wedding makeup.
Yeah.
Like, that...
The wedding makeup scandal.
Did you see the other wedding scandal about the wedding dress?
Dress?
Yeah!
The one... Yes! Literally, I knew you would know this. Like, the one where, like, she made the dress, but then she said that she was gonna have it done by August 10th, and it wasn't done by August 10th, and then she done the ugliest dress I've ever seen, and had the nerve to go on TikTok and be like, I didn't get paid, this woman's holding my money. You deserve a lawsuit. That's what you deserve.
You deserve to lose all that money, bestie.
In fact, you need to give her back her deposit. Like, that's such a crime.
Like, well, yeah,
oh my god.
So literally, like when I talk to anybody else, like, literally anyone else, I'll try to talk to them, and they're like listening, right? They're like, oh, okay, like, wow, that's wild. But I have to explain the entire situation to them, and it isn't the same. Explaining it to them isn't the same as it popping up on your For You page, and every single video is just different commentary about the same situation.
Yes, like, I literally do deep dives, and in my head, I'm like, I know that Ren is seeing the same thing right now.
Yup.
And the first time I realized this was when we went to the mall to get Dippin' Dots.
Yes.
That's something we talked about a lot, was getting Dippin' Dots. And finally we were like, let's go to the mall and get Dippin' Dots. And we were sitting out there and we were talking about what's her face, Miss Colleen. And this was before the ukulele thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, I was like, oh yeah, like, this is someone who gets the internet the way I get the internet.
Yes.
Because we were sitting there ranting, not even just about the Colleen thing, but like other stuff too. And I was like, there's literally nobody else who would know this stuff as in depth as I do. Like, deep dives worth. Like,
chronically online besties.
Yup. Woo woo. Oh, but that's a nice segue, because what we're about to talk about now is a pop culture thing.
This is a pop, yay! And this is actually pertaining to dance.
Yay!
Last episode was not, which I might have to like retitle it like dissecting off topic with Ren or something, like make some sort of like funny podcast segment. Special edition. Maybe that's what the last episode will be. Is like a dissecting dance special, like non-dance edition or something. Anyways, that's none of your business. Talking to the audience, talking to you.
This is for feature Ren.
Yes, but you're still gonna hear it because I'm lazy. So this came out a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at staying like the time that it takes to like cover these topics, it's actually like it takes a while to get to each, like it takes a while for me to get to things. Like, here's another pop culture thing that we're not going to talk about today that I eventually want to talk about, but it's going to be a while before I actually cover it. It's Ray Gun.
Yes. Yes, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm like, it's something where I'm like, I'm missing out. I need to watch it.
Oh, we'll get into it after we're done filming.
Yes.
yeah, we'll get into it. But that's another thing I want to cover in the future. Anyways, off topic again. So we are going all in on Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Now, I'm a dancer, right?
Not.
But you're really good at analyzing.
Yes.
Like you're able to take things and dissect it, and you can kind of tell like right and wrong.
Yes.
And really, like, I don't need all my guests to be dancers. I don't.
I'm a dance enthusiast.
Yes.
I love dance, competitive cheer, gymnastics, all that stuff. I love it.
Yeah. It's fun to get into. But as you know, like, sometime over the summer, I think, in June, there was a docuseries that came out called America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. But the OGs watched CMT's Making the Team.
Yes. Yes. Me, when I was a child. And had no business watching that show.
Honestly, I shouldn't have watched it. But we're going to get into that. So, I mean, we can really take this in any direction. We don't have plans because we don't do plans. We just talk.
Yeah, we're spontaneous.
We're spontaneous.
We just get up and go to Chicago. Well, me, I just get up and go to Chicago and I follow Ren around. Oh, man. Breaking the fourth wall. Anyway, lock back in. Okay. Alright, so, yeah, so, I feel like we should talk, like, I feel like only because America's Sweethearts is just so focused, like, in the forefront of my mind. I feel like we should do that, and then use CMT as, like, a flashback kind of thing.
Or something to, like, kind of dissect, or something to pull from.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Cool. So, let's start with highs and lows. Like, what were, like, the good parts and what were, like, the bad parts of watching. Yeah. Let's start with lows.
That's the easy one. For me. For me, it was easy. Do you want me to start, or do you want
Yes, go ahead. Your podcast.
Hey. Thanks, I appreciate it. But technically, you should be going first because you're a guest. But I can go first if you want me to.
Yes, go
ahead. Okay, alright. So, we're both coming into this from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same perspective. You've also heard a lot of things like through me and my experiences.
Yes.
As well. So that's another, I don't know. That's another factor. But anyways, the big low for me is there's a lot of them, so I don't even know where to start.
So maybe we should start with the highs?
I guess. Yeah, the highs we're going to get through those quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, highs. Just kidding. So when we're talking about, I really appreciated, and this is a production standpoint, I really appreciated that they not only spoke with people who are trying out to be on the team,
mm-hmm.
but they spoke with people who retired already.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was amazing, and really being able to hear how they're adjusting post DCC life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
But if you compare America's Sweethearts to CMT,
mm-hmm.
America's Sweetheart was more focused on the dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna call them dancers because even though they're called cheerleaders,
they dance.
They dance. They're a dance.
Lot.
They're a dance team.
Yeah.
They don't do any cheer,
mm-hmm.
really. But they do it. Oh shit! Shoot. Where was I going with that?
The difference between CMT and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, specifically the Netflix special dives into being the dancers
mm-hmm.
on the show, while CMT was more focused on the process.
Yeah.
Which I like the Netflix part better.
Mm-hmm.
Propaganda. CMT was very like propaganda, like, oh my gosh, DCC's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So those were like my top two highs
mm-hmm.
of the show. And well, here's another one. Here's one more high. And I don't know if you caught it, or maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just the dancer in me. But this is going to be kind of controversial because people are like, Ren, why would you care? I care because I don't want to specify. But the dancers, cheerleaders, whatever you want to call them. So I'm pretty sure that they're wearing tights under their shorts.
Yes, I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I view that as a high,
mm-hmm.
because if you're going to wear those outfits, you deserve to, have some sort of coverage somewhere. Yeah. And it actually made me feel a lot better in the very, very impossible chance that I become a DCC cheerleader, which is never going to happen because of my appearance and body shape. Anyways, yeah. So those were my pluses. Mm-hmm. Those are my only pluses.
Mm-hmm.
What are yours?
I think kind of similar. So
mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed. I enjoy the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders as an organization,
mm-hmm.
just by the way that like they really are revered and respected, and I really liked learning the history of DCC and being able to see like how far back it goes and seeing
mm-hmm.
how much the process has changed, but also how much it means to people.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me that I really, really liked was that when people take pictures with DCC, they cannot touch them.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciated the time they took to explain that and explain why it's like that and how they combat that by giving them like a football or something like that. Because it's something that it's like, oh yeah, like I think, I don't know. I don't want to like just say like it's only a man thing because that gives off the
It's only a man thing. There. How many lesbians are there in Dallas?
That's true. But I was just thinking about the time that like when so I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan. When me and my cousin went to training camp at the stadium, and we got to take pictures with the cheerleaders. And the first instinct is wrap your arms around them, and like, because that's your first instinct when you're in a group photo, is wrap your arms around the people you're taking pictures with.
Exactly.
And so when they explain like why they don't do that, because to protect the cheerleaders, and like the guys are very stern, like the security's very stern when people try. Don't even bother. Don't touch them. Can't touch them. Like, I really appreciated the amount of protection that the cheerleaders have. Like, being able to see that was really, really cool. It's something that still like sticks out to me right now.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's something that like it really. I was like, whoa, I really really like that. Um, what else did I like? I don't want to say I liked this because it's like, but like you said about how like it really focuses on them as dancers. I liked the honesty of what the what being a DCC um, does to you, like to your body. Um, like specifically like Caroline having to get hip surgery and foot surgery because of the physical demand. Like people don't. I think it just shows the hardships that cheerleaders like that they specifically, but I'm sure a lot of NFL cheerleaders feel the same way. It's like you're constantly putting on a performance for and football games are long. Like you are performing almost nonstop for 3 hours.
That's crazy.
That is crazy work. And when you are like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and their halftime shows incredible, like when you have their the caliber that they do, they're literally putting their bodies on the line. And a lot of people talk about that with like the football players, right? Like, oh, the NFL players are constantly putting their bodies on the line. That's why they deserve this amount of money. When I found, and let me start over. With this whole point, I like the honesty of this documentary. These people don't make anything. Like when I think about it, if you're in my mind, I'm like, well, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders should be making what 6 figs? Like they bring so much money to this organization. They're putting their bodies on the line, having to do life-altering surgery.
Yep.
They're not making at least 6 figs? That's weird. In Dallas? Do you know how expensive it is to live in Dallas? What?
I'm assuming crazy expensive.
Crazy expensive. And it's just like, I was like, wow. Like, it's... And I guess it's kind of a low, but it's not a low of the documentary. It's a low of DCC as an organization. But it was...
They got exposed.
Exposed. And I liked the honesty in that. I enjoyed watching this organization not be perfect. Because that's what CMT made it seem like. This is a perfect organization. If you don't get into this, like, you are screwed. And it kind of gives that in the Netflix one too, but it also shows, first of all, some people that don't get in, it's really not their fault. There's nothing that they can do about that. But it's very honest, I think. And I think it could be more honest too, but I liked the honesty that it portrayed. Other than that, did I have any highs? I liked getting to just see the cheerleaders as people. I really like that too. They have really nice personalities, and I can see why. The Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders is such a big brand, and I love the heart that all of them had, that they wanted to dedicate to this. Like, this is something they've dreamed of their whole lives, and I think that's pretty cool. Here I am. I was thinking, like, man, like people know their names. Like, they literally have posters of them up in their stadium. Like, that's so cool. Like, I was like, man, I kind of wish, like, the Baltimore Ravens cheerleaders were like that. Like, they're cool. I love them. I don't talk bad about my team. I love my team. And the cheerleaders are awesome, and they do a lot of community service and stuff like that. But the Baltimore Ravens cheerleaders are never going to be as big of a name as the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, you know? And so it's like, it was really cool to see. But there were a lot of lows. Lots of lows.
There were a lot of lows to what I saw. And even, like, in the past of, like, DCC, I almost forgot the acronym. And it wasn't, like, a low in, like, the documentary-wise. There were, like, some things that, like, the fact that they record, like, everything kind of ticks me off. And it's, like, I know that they kind of knew what they were getting into. But I think I've mentioned this in past episodes, but I don't like being filmed. Especially when I'm in a process.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person who likes to, like, I like to perfect it in privacy. And then come in and, like, know what I'm doing or something. And DCC doesn't the because of the amount of publicity that they get, there really isn't a good opportunity to do that. Like in a studio where you're able to work with like veteran, like maybe there is, but that's a low. There's a few other things I wanted to get into. There's a whole situation with Victoria. That's something I want to touch on because the lore is pretty extensive. I don't even know if you know the lore. I think actually I told you the lore.
I know some of it, but
Yeah.
I don't think I know the full extent.
There was a lot of lore on both Victoria's side and on the DCC/Netflix side. So I want to get into that, and then I also want to get into like eating disorders. Oh my gosh, I kind of want to get into that first.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So I was on TikTok earlier, and this was actually like we had food earlier, and I actually saw this like right before we left for dinner. It was on Reddit, and I'm not using names because she's still a minor, but I was on a Reddit page for a former dance show that I've covered and talked trash about, and basically she posted a TikTok that was like she was like, time to do my daily like hour on the whatever gym equipment she was using. And then she was like, update, I did an hour and a half. And I was like, okay, if you enjoy it, that's fine. But then I saw a comment, and I don't know if I can pull it back up, but the comment was pretty much, it's on my phone, it's recorded on my phone. But the comment was pretty much like, what, do you have any like dietary advice? She's a minor. Not even like 17. She's younger than 17.
Yeah.
Which to me is crazy. And she was literally like, oh yeah. And then someone was like, do you have any like diet advice? And she was like, oh yeah, like I fast until 1:30 and I eat a lot of low calorie foods. Like I eat a high amount of low calorie foods. And I'm like, huh? Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And I have a lot to say about that might come across as like blaming. But I don't think people understand how diet culture is literally the most toxic, one of the most toxic things about that. And this person's a child who has been put in the limelight for all of her life, pretty much. And it also goes back to these dance shows like Dallas Cowboys, where it's very apparent that they're cutting people because they gained a few pounds.
Yeah.
Even if it's not obvious. And I'm like, but apparently, or we might as well use names because why not? They're adults. And Kelly and Judy apparently noticed the tiniest amount of fat or muscle or whatever it was, like on their stomach, or they jiggle.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me?
And I know it's about the image. Like, I know, like, this is my thing that I don't appreciate about it. It's like, I get that, like, DCC is an image. It's a brand. You have to worry about the look.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes they focus too much on the brand and the look rather than looking at their cheerleaders as people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry I gained 3 pounds. I can lose 3 pounds. You know how easy it is to lose 3 pounds? I don't work out at all. I drink water and I lose 5 pounds in a week. Like, hello? Like, it's not hard to lose weight. I mean, like, that's just what the human body does. It naturally fluctuates. If you're a healthy human being, it'll go up, it'll go down. You'll gain weight, you'll lose weight. Like, we shouldn't be promoting unhealthy eating habits, and I think that's what Victoria touched on a little bit in her storyline in the show. And I mean, we see this with ballerinas too. You see that in lots of different forms of dance.
Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know that I have an Instagram account now. My Instagram is dissecting dance with no punctuation No spaces, no caps, none of that, just dissecting dance. You can follow me on Instagram there for the most recent updates on episode releases. Thanks, everyone. Now back to the show. It's everywhere. Here's the thing, and this is just coming from the dance perspective. This is also something I say a million times, but I'm gonna say it over and over again so it can get into people's brain noggins that it doesn't matter. Speaking as a dancer, it doesn't matter whether the environment is good or bad. It's gonna, you're gonna get victimized by the is it because of my weight trope, which is something that I've dealt with a lot as a kid, and sometimes now, although I've gotten better with it, I'm still not great. But it's like it's kind of forced into you. And the Dallas Cowboy whatever, and this even happened at my university too, not up front, but there were stereotypes. So that's like, and that's for a different episode. I'm eventually gonna get into that, get into what my experience was like, and like just kind of feedback, not an expose. Yeah. But you know, it's such a negative. Like it's awful. Like why? Like I'm just like, you custom fit your costumes to each individual dancer. Like, excuse me?
Yeah. And that episode, too, that was, like, part of where I appreciated the honesty, but I was like, how damaging is this going to be for someone who wants to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and sees, like, someone who might already be on the verge of having an eating disorder, and you see them having tape measures around their stomachs, or being like, oh, your boobs are too big, so we have to, like, adjust this. Things that, like, you can't even control. Like, the size of your breasts is not really up to you. It's up to your biology. So it's like, all right, well, we have to do this. Or it's like, oh, we have to take this in a lot. Or, oh, we need to take this out a lot. Like, the way that they're literally pinching around your thighs to check to see if the boots will fit around your calves. Like, it's crazy, crazy work. Customizing boots?
That's kind of psychotic.
Psychotic. It's giving psychotic. Because it's like, you're not allowing their bodies to fluctuate normally. And that's why they're starting to have, and then you're doing that. You're putting them through demanding hours of practice and then performance. Like, I remember Victoria mentioned something about not even only, like, you can see her only eating, like, apples and cheese.
And, like, salad.
And
like
salad.
Lettuce.
Like, girl, you need protein. You're about to go, she had turkey slices. Yeah, she had turkey slices, too. It's like, you are putting your body through demanding hours of labor. And you're not giving it enough sustenance to do the things that it needs to do. And this is from a scientific perspective, because I have a degree in biology, but you're not giving your body the sustenance that it needs. Obviously, your body's going to get fatigued. And the thing with Victoria, and I don't want to talk about her body because, and I don't really, it's tricky because Victoria already thinks this way about herself. But one thing is that, like, Kelly and Judy would constantly be like, oh, Victoria's slow. Victoria's tired. Victoria's not taking care of herself. I hated when they kept saying that.
That made me so mad.
She's not taking care of herself. Are you taking care of yourself? It's not our job to take care of you. Yes, it is.
It kind of is.
Like, you're their coach. You should be encouraging healthy habits. But you're not. You're creating a toxic environment. And for someone who wants this so bad, Victoria's mom did this, she's like, it's a lot on her. And you're telling her now all of a sudden, like, I could just think about how damaging that can be. Because it's like, she has this eating disorder, she's putting herself through this to fit the mold, and now they're telling her, you're not doing enough. You need to be taking care of yourself. You need to be making sure you're eating. Which basically means she's doing all this stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's still not good enough.
Because even if she eats, like, then they're going to be like, well, you can't be on the team now.
Yeah.
Because you gained weight.
Because you gained weight, you're too big, and you're slow. Whoa. Like,
that's just... Huh?
Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's some of the stuff where I'm like, ew. Ew.
Ew.
Ew. Huh.
Yeah.
I was going to bring something else up about Kelly and Judy specifically. And about what they do like that. But I don't remember now. So we'll move.
Gosh, I can go into them a little bit, and maybe you'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. As a kid, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm telling you, that show, I had no business watching that show as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
No business.
Mm-mm.
Like, that just wasn't... Because we were literally, and this is wrong, I'm gonna say this is wrong, but, like, I would literally sit with significant figures in my life whom their opinion always matters because of how significant they are,
Mm-hmm.
and they're literally doing the exact same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're taking it as, like, uh-oh, this is drama.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it didn't come across as that, like, no kid had any business watching that.
No.
And what annoyed me about that was that the way that it was shown was as if Kelly and Judy were right.
Mm-hmm.
And that we wanted... It felt like producers and Kelly and Judy wanted to villainize the cheerleaders who weren't maintaining their diet
Mm-hmm.
off season.
Yeah.
Even though they have their own lives, all of them have to have full-time jobs
Mm-hmm.
in order to sustain an income.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, that's just...
And that's a low.
Boo, Charlotte, boo.
Boo. Really boo. They bring you, what? What do they say, like $1 billion a year? Is that what they say? Something like that. $1 billion?
A lot of money. A heck of a lot of money that could be going to the cheerleaders.
Yeah, and you're telling me, like, no offense to some of the Cowboys players, but some of these people on the bench aren't making as much as the or are making way more than the cheerleaders are. The bench,
Yeah.
they don't even play. Come on.
And we could argue and say, I could argue and say that being a dancer involves a whole lot more for your body. I mean, I don't know anything about football, so this is a biased statement. So let me make that clear. But I mean, if you put a ballerina in football, and like if you put a ballerina in football, they can probably do it.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I can't run to save my life, so maybe not that part. But you put a ballerina in football and it's doable. But you put a football player in ballet and it's like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Have you I think about that one movie with Game Day? No, it was with The Rock. It was with Dwayne. Game Plan. I just think about that episode so much because I think he got put in like a ballet show and that was really funny.
Yeah, because what's her name? Madison.
Yeah, Madison Pettis.
Pettis. Yeah, she was in ballet, and it was kind of like a daddy-daughter ballet thing. So he also did it with her. So cute.
That was really cute.
Ugh.
I don't know, but
we digress.
we digress. We're getting off topic again. But talking about that part of it too,
Mm-hmm.
it's like these dancers are putting in so much work, like so much of their time and energy
Mm-hmm.
and work, and like here's my thing. I'm gonna say something extremely like nonchalant. I don't know if that's the word for it. Like, I'm just gonna say it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can take it as you will.
Okay.
I think that it's a cult.
DCC?
Yeah. I think it could borderline.
There's a lot of cult-like behaviors, yes.
Yeah. That's a better way of putting it than what I said it. There's a lot of, like, tendencies and, like, signals that I'm catching on
Mm-hmm.
that makes me think that it's kind of culty. For I didn't look up. I don't have the signs of a cult in front of me, but one of which is unanimously like looking up to your leader.
Yeah.
Having a cult leader. And if you don't like the leader, you're screwed.
Yeah.
If you try to say anything against the leader, you're screwed. If you try to give any sort of feedback, you're screwed.
Yeah.
What's another? I know that there's like a list of like different signs.
Before you do that, though, I do want to that kind of the criticizing the leader thing.
Yeah.
That was one thing. It's like, I think in the cult thing too is that you kind of take what they say as like law. Like, you don't really try and challenge them, and this is, I remember what I was gonna say. The part of the show where Kelly got upset at the girls for being selfish.
Oh my gosh.
That I have a big issues with that. One, because it's like, I can understand. So when she was talking about how the girls who didn't do the cards for the bus driver, I thought that was pretty spot on, because it's like, yeah, your bus driver that's been with you for decades, he has a stroke and you don't give him a card. Who are you? What do you think? Like, you think you're better than us? Like, ew. So
Yeah.
I appreciated Kelly for calling that out. What I did not like was Kelly signaling out that one girl for asking for where her ornament was. That is very humiliating, and she didn't have to do it like that. And this is where it's like, that's when I started to realize, like, this organization likes to humiliate people. Like, it does, like, Kelly does it a lot, where I don't even think, sometimes I feel like she does it subconsciously, where she humiliates people. But, and I've done a lot of leadership things. I'm not calling myself like a natural born leader or something. But as a leader, if I have an issue with something that someone in the group is doing, I wouldn't say, so-and-so, why did you do this? I would say, listen guys, this situation happened, and I noticed this behavior done by this. We shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Like, let's not have that type of energy. Let's not, like, especially, like, when it comes to the Christmas tree ornament. It's like, hey, guys, I'm just trying to call out this behavior that I've seen. I didn't appreciate when I heard someone took the time to create this Christmas tree and have ornaments, and the first thing that I heard was, where's my ornament? I didn't appreciate hearing that. I don't like that that happened. We should try to move past that as a group and not be selfish. You see how that gets the point across? And I didn't have to signal out the person that did it. And so it's like, if the people, because obviously people were there, so the people that know. But the people that don't know, they don't have to look at that person and be like, ooh, you're a selfish person, or you're a bad person.
You're the a-hole.
Yeah, you're the a-hole for doing that. Like, there are ways to call out behavior. I think it's called, like, calling in.
Calling in?
Yeah, calling in rather than calling out. Like, you can call in if you really want to talk about how the group is selfish, just like how you did. Oh no, didn't she call out the people who didn't make a card?
I don't know if it was by I think no, probably.
I thought didn't think she did, but now I'm starting to think she might have. But I don't remember. Whatever. Whole point is, because then also, if she would have done it the way that I said, that gives that person the opportunity to come out and apologize to you about it, right? Which she did.
She did, but for a different reason.
For a different reason, because then she went into the room, because this is where the cult behavior comes in. Because you see the leader as a supreme being. So the first thing she did when she went into the room is start crying and trying to say, I love this organization. I want to be part of this organization. I'm not trying to be selfish. Like, she felt like she had to prove herself that she wasn't a horrible person. She didn't even really apologize for her behavior. She apologized for upsetting Kelly. That's weird. That's weird. And that wouldn't have never happened. Like this cheerleader, whose name I forgot, forgive me, but she was going through a state of emotional distress. And Kelly's just staring at her.
Blank face.
Blank face.
Nothing behind those eyes.
No remorse for humiliating this girl in front of everybody. But that goes back to the CMT days. That whole show is based off of humiliation.
Yeah.
Like, humiliating girls who literally their entire dream, their entire worth, they believe their entire purpose is to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Kelly is like the killer of dreams. And
yes.
I get you kind of have to be like that, because if you take everything personally, you can't do the job. Because, like, even cutting veterans, like, that must be a hard thing to do. Like, so I'm sure she's just become numb to it. But you can become numb to the feeling, but remember the emotion, I guess.
Right.
Remember the emotion. Remember the people you're dealing with. Just because it's something that's numb to you, it's something that you've had to do time and time and time again. This is the first and hopefully the only time that these girls have to deal with this. So why are you being so like that? Like, just... And I'm like, when that cheerleader came to Kelly and starts crying and bawling her eyes out, I'm sitting here thinking, what did she say to cause this reaction? It was a very extreme reaction. And so when you said the cult thing, I was like, oh yeah, this is giving cult. Like, you're so afraid to upset High Almighty that... I don't know. That's my little tangent. But I think that's where the power dynamics come in, and they need to reflect. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, but we all know they're going to be like, we haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah. But it's like, and it's not like that Kelly's like a horrible person, a horrible human being, because this is something we talked about earlier with like the Ari thing, where it's like Kelly didn't want to cut Ari for being short.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell she didn't. Like, you could see it.
It was a hard, like, Kelly knew that Ari was good.
Yeah.
And, you know, like we talk about, we don't think in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she can be a crappy person at times, there are moments where she's right.
Yeah.
And in that moment, she was right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, like, another thing to delve into, too. Because that situation was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, like, just... That situation makes me more mad than anything. Because how dare they?
For context, Ari auditioned, tried out for the team, didn't make it, stuck around in Dallas, got a job, got an apartment, stuck around for the next year to audition again, made it all the way to the final round. Literally, they're looking at, is it a 53? No, 53 is
36.
Football. Yeah.
36.
53 is football. 36. So it's literally 38. They've got 38 people and they got to get down to 36.
I think it's 36.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely 36. 53 is the football roster. I was like, I said 53 earlier and I was like, that's not right. Anyway, 36. 36 people. You're down to 38. Ari's like, I've got, over a 50% chance of making it? Like, she's got all this high hopes, all this, like, yeah, I'm going to make this team.
She had everything. I don't think she got called in once.
Not once. They didn't have anything to say about her. They loved her enthusiasm. She took notes very well. She was just, like, what? 5'3"? She was tiny. Like, that was it. She was very small. And they cut her for that. She didn't make the final team because she was short.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's the context. Continue.
Okay. And also the context was that, like, Kelly didn't want to cut her.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly thought that she was good enough to make the team, which pretty much the entire internet agrees with.
Yes.
But, and I know you said that Judy, like, disagreed and wanted Ari cut. I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm. I could have sworn she did. Like, I could have sworn she didn't want her, and she didn't want Charlie. I just remember Judy being a big op. Like, she just hated. She's like, no.
She's a hater.
Yeah, hater.
No, I just remember that it was Charlotte who made the choice.
Yes, Charlotte did ultimately make that choice.
Yeah, and for me, black and white, I will always and forever hate Charlotte. Because what the heck?
Yeah.
what the heck. Yeah, so she got cut for being too short, and she made it all the way to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And she literally, like, they cut her because of her height. And I'm like, that's dumb.
They cut her about her height, and then they lied to her that that wasn't the reason why. Like, because Kelly did not once mention that she got cut because of her height.
Ouch.
I don't think so. I'm sure she has some assumption, but I can almost guarantee that Ari didn't know until the show aired. That was why, and that sucks.
And it's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just dirty, and it's like, here's the thing: if you're gonna cut people because of their height, and this is why I feel like there needs to be more protections in place. This is like an off-topic pop culture thing, but like off-topic dance culture, I guess. But I don't even know where I was going. But the whole concept of like there have to be requirements.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be discriminatory, at least give requirements.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think Judy was the one that brought up, do we need to have a height requirement then?
Oh.
Yeah, because Kelly was like, well, we don't ask for one. And then Judy and Charlotte were like, well, then maybe we need to start having one. Because obviously, like, it just doesn't look good. And that's, ugh. Yucky.
Yucky. Gross. No, but, I mean, it's similar to the Rockettes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't, obviously, like, I don't know, I'm sure that it's a very similar situation for the Rockettes.
All the Rockettes look the same.
They do. Which makes it, like, painstakingly, like, they're probably given the same, like, similar expectations
Mm-hmm.
to the DCC, whatever. Probably higher because they're the Rockettes and they're famous.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. Like, but they have a height requirement.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very, like, I'm not saying that you should discriminate based on height. Because I don't think that's okay. I think that everyone deserves a chance. But, or maybe I shouldn't say but. But, but, you know, like, regardless of that, it was pretty dirty that they would do that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the issue is that they discriminated her because of her height. Just because, I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Like, someone who's 5'5" is not going to make it to the NBA. They could be the best basketball player in the world. You're 5'5". There's no way you're making it to the NBA. Like, some things just require
Right.
things. Like a Rockette. Same thing, but it's like you're not going to make the Rockettes if you're short. Because the Rockettes' whole thing is
It's
that
being tall.
Being tall, and when you look at their legs when they're doing those kick lines, they are all in sync. There's like, they literally, like, if you put them all one in front of the other, which they do, you cannot tell that there's more than one person there. It looks like they are one silhouette. The NFL, like, the way your body is built determines the position that you play. Like, my brother, he was a defensive end when he was on JV. He can't be a defensive end now when he's on varsity because he's too skinny. They'll kill him. They will kill him. Like, he can't be just a defensive end. He can try, but he's built like a wide receiver. So they put him in wide receiver. They're not going to put him in tight end. He's tiny. So it's like your body determines the things that you can do. And so it's not the height issue. It's that they were upfront that the height is an issue.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like,
that makes sense.
Like, just tell her. Just tell her. Or what? Maybe here's the thing, because I did mention this earlier. I wonder if they could have told her that the height was an issue because Kelly thought she was good. Like, Kelly genuinely thought that it was. No, I think she knew it was kind of an issue, but she kind of hoped that Ari would make the team. What I wish they would have done, if you can't just straight up tell her that you're not going to make it because you're short, let her know ahead of time. So this is a concern. And plus, when she auditioned the first time, you're telling me her height didn't come up the first time? Oh, no, it did. They said that.
Or the entire training camp.
Yeah. So it's like, they said, I keep saying audition. Sorry, I'm a theater kid. But when she tried out the first time, they said it was the height thing again. So you let her come back knowing it was still a height thing? Like, when she came back this next time, you should have straight up told her, listen, I'm not saying you're not going to make the team. Because there is a possibility that you could. But I need you to be aware that your height may be an issue. Do you still want to continue through this? Give her the option to go through the pain at the end, if that's what she wants to do. But don't put her through the pain again when you knew the outcome the first time. That's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely explained it a lot better than I did.
Very messed up.
Very. That's why you're here to talk about it, because I can say all this like unhinged stuff and it would come out like incredibly weird and awful, but then you say it in the right wording.
It's funny because it's like I usually stumble over my words, but I guess when it's stuff that I like care about, and I think I've thought about a lot about it too, because
right.
Like you said, when I watch things, I analyze it very closely, and I talk to myself a lot, so I was saying a lot of these things out loud to myself while I was watching,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess it's easier to, like, formulate my sentences now, but the Ari thing, the Christmas ornament thing was huge for me. I was ranting in my car all the way to work about that. I was upset. I was like, there's no way you as a leader did that in that way. Boo.
Boo.
Boo. Tomatoes. Like a bunch of tomatoes. I hate that. Like, you're just not a good leader to me when you do stuff like that. Anyway. And then the Victoria thing is another one. Ugh. Actually,
that's touchy. That's like very touchy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of like you really have to analyze it in order to get an idea on what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, one thing I do want to talk about Victoria that I also didn't appreciate, and here's the thing. So if you think that you are sparing somebody by not telling them the truth, you're wrong.
Flat out?
Flat out. Because you are causing them to not either A, have false hope like with Ari, or B, be completely unaware of what it is that is preventing them from having the opportunities that they seek.
Mm-hmm.
So when Victoria wanted to be, what's it called?
The group leader.
Group leader?
Yeah, group leader.
And in your back discussions, you're talking about how Victoria doesn't socialize well and Victoria doesn't seem to be helping out and stuff like that. But then the editing is showing Victoria literally meeting with the rookies and training them and helping them walk through the steps. But then it's also showing that she doesn't fit in well with the girls. Why don't you just tell her that? They were never upfront with her about why she didn't make
the group leader.
And even when, at the end, when they're asking whether or not you'll return, or whether or not you'll come back and you put your uniform on the rack, and she's pleading with them, begging, please tell me if there's a shot. Do I have a chance? And finally, at that meeting, they were like, probably not. Okay, what can I do better?
And didn't even give her anything.
No clarification. Just be honest. She's begging you, pleading you in your face. Just give her a reason to stay. And the thing is, I can understand Kelly saying, I can't give you that reason. You need to find that for yourself. But the reason why she wants to stay is because she wants the opportunity to be group leader. If you are not going to offer her that opportunity, tell her.
Tell her so she can go.
Tell her so she can
and thank
go.
God she left.
Yeah. And you wanted her to go. That's the thing. It seemed like Kelly didn't like Victoria the whole time anyway. So why did you even let her back on the team anyway? Like, you had all of these concerns about her, but you never confronted those concerns with her until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
What was Victoria supposed to do? And then Victoria, because she's been caught in this manipulative, psychologically damaging cycle with this organization, she walks back in and is like, you know what? I'm going to stay on the team to prove myself to you guys that I can do it.
That's so, like, if you feel like you have to prove if you feel like you're constantly having to prove yourself, one, that could either be, like, you're just putting a lot of pressure on yourself. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it has everything to do with the fact that you're looking for something that you've seen be given to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you want that, so you're going to work really hard for it.
Yeah.
Just for it to never happen.
Exactly. And it was never going to. It was never going to happen. And the fact that Victoria thought, I'm going to prove it to you guys. Victoria, you've been here for 5 years. What more can you prove? And I'm glad she stepped away and was like, you know what, it's actually not for me. Because at one point, you just have to be honest with yourself. What more can I show these people? I've given them everything. And Victoria did give that organization everything. Her body, her mental health, her soul, her spirit, her being.
And she was really good with the people, too.
She
with
was.
The audience.
Good with the audience, good with... Everybody loved her, and even the... Like, I just think it's weird. Like, is she as personable as Kelsey? No. But you don't have to be the most outspoken person in the room to be a good leader. There are different types of leadership. Just because it's not a type of leadership that you've seen before doesn't mean that it won't be effective. And I think, like, the documentary itself did a good job of showing they're saying all these things about Victoria, and Victoria's having private one-on-one sessions with rookies.
Yeah.
Like, she's not telling anybody that she's doing that. She's just doing it because she's a good person and a good leader.
That's what defines being a good person.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time in real life. And I am throwing a real life example that you're going to know, but the audience isn't going to know. But the big example is, like, you know, bringing on someone who likes to control other people, even when they don't need control. Mm-hmm. And someone comes in as a dictator, versus when you're behind the scenes and nobody knows that you're doing it, but it's showing because you're doing the work without even acknowledging that you're doing it.
Yeah.
I hope you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That was literally the thing that came up to mind when I was talking about, like, the different leadership styles.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, just because it's not what you've seen doesn't mean that it won't work.
Right. And there's a whole lot of, like, there's a lot of Victoria lore that went on from, like, outside of the show. Mm-hmm. Like, so first off, like, I definitely resonate with Victoria 100%. And I do, like, empathize with her experiences. Because one of the things that she said on the show was that, like, one of the things she said was, I don't know why. Mm. And sometimes what you see on the internet, especially when people don't like Victoria, is, well, you should know why. You should know. But she doesn't. And she's been asking this whole time, why?
Yeah.
And so that is something that I definitely, like, empathize with. Mm-hmm. Because especially in this world, and I've experienced kind of being the odd one out, as you know, it's when you don't know when you're seeing something happen to everybody else, it's not happening to you. It's kind of like, what the F word? Mm-hmm. Like, why?
Yeah.
What am I doing differently that's preventing me from getting these opportunities that everyone else is getting? Mm-hmm. And I do empathize with her for that. And what really was disheartening was when Victoria made those statements. Like, you probably have seen this, you probably haven't. But, you know, the birthday party thing. Have you heard about that? Mm-mm. Where basically I I might be like the lore. My lore is a little off because I'm too busy on TikTok lore right now. The current lore, which is all the wedding stuff. And it just really like basically, let me just be straightforward. And I think Victoria, she wanted to do more for her birthday with the other girls. Like, she wanted to have them over, and they didn't show up.
Ew.
And now the other cheerleaders did go in the comments and they defended it. One of which was, we didn't find out until the last minute, which I always tend to lean towards the person, like the outcast, because I was an outcast. But even though their points are valid, they were like, we still did what we do with everybody, which is we decorate your locker for your birthday. We still did that. But it's like, that's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, what do you, like, it just sounds like you're forcing it. And, like, was Victoria done dirty? Yeah. But I've also heard that based on the lore that I'm seeing, which is not confirmed, part of it was also her mom.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Like,
Yeah.
based off of that, like, because I just remembered, too, that part of, like, the group leader thing was, like, a vote thing. And if you're not popular, that's gonna, like, if you are that outcast, people obviously aren't gonna vote for you, regardless of whether or not they think you'll be a good leader. And it's like, I feel like maybe her mom kind of pushed people on the team away from her.
Yeah.
Which caused them not to like her. Granted, we don't see the full picture. We don't really know Victoria. We don't really know these people.
We don't do parasocial relationships.
Yeah, we don't do parasocial relationships around here. But we can still analyze the behaviors and the actions that have been shown. And obviously there's always more to the story, and that's where the statements come in and stuff like that. But it's like, you just have to wonder. I always wonder, what makes an outcast an outcast? Is it the reflection? Is it their perception to other people? Is it something? Is it their actions? Have they done something? Or is it simply just like an energy check? Do the vibes just not work? And I'm like, little Miss Reese over here, she found a way to vibe with people, even though she comes from completely different backgrounds. She's still very sweet, very Southern Belle, but you're telling me some of the girls on that team aren't promiscuous? Like, homegirl didn't even have, she'd never been to Starbucks before. She literally, Miss Reese has never been to Starbucks before. She pulled up in Dallas to try out for this thing. She's as innocent as they come. The first guy she meets, she marries. And this is not a dig towards Reese. I love Reese. Like, I do. I love her. But it's like, if she doesn't become an outcast, people don't cast her aside because of that. What is it about Victoria that they cast her aside? Was it the break that she took? Was it the fact that she left to focus on her mental health? Like, or if she came back, she was a vet, but she wasn't? Like...
Or was it her mother?
Or was it her mother? Or was it something else?
Or was it or did something happen that we don't know about? So it's you definitely don't know. And yeah, that brings up a good point of like, it could be that the overall DCC, they're all just awful people, and they're extremely cliquey, and they're isolating her for any sort of whatever difference. So they could have isolated her because she was pretty open, and it was well known that she was having issues with her eating. So that could be something, like, because we don't talk about how when DCCs leave, they still come in with that mentality, like Kelly and Judy, with when it comes to eating disorders and weight.
Yeah.
So in that situation, that would make, I don't want to say victim. I don't like to play the victim here, or the victim card, but that would put Victoria not at fault.
Yeah.
Right? But if everything I'm hearing about the drama with her mom just being an extremely just awful manipulative person, and Victoria's relationship with her mom being as close, toxically close as they are, and if that's the reason they're isolating Victoria, then that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Victoria doesn't know that because she doesn't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
She never went to college to experience other things outside of DCC.
Mm-hmm.
When she turned 18, that's what she did.
Yeah.
That was her mom's life goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't like when people are like, oh yeah, like, well, I guess you know why. Like, there's always a reason why someone's an outcast. Because that's just stupid.
Yeah. And it's not true.
It's not true. Like, there are many... Heck, let me just go in and say, in my specifics, in one of my situations, a lot of the times, the extreme favorites, were outcasted.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how much they were getting and how little, or in comparison to what everyone else was getting.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't include me in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not involved in that anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and wasn't for most of my time. But it, like, you don't know what could be, like you said, it doesn't matter if someone's an outcast. What matters is what matters is the why.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Victoria's been yearning for.
Yeah. It's like Shrek. Y'all have seen Shrek. You know Shrek. Like,
Yeah.
Shrek was an outcast. Everyone thought he was a big, mean, vicious ogre. And he was an onion who has layers. Like, everyone's multifaceted. So it's like, and all it took was Donkey to take a chance on him.
Mm-hmm.
And finally for someone to be willing to talk to them. That's all it takes is one person. And you all of a sudden you're not an outcast anymore. You're telling me in that whole group of 35 other girls, not one of them wants to talk to Victoria and be her friend? That's weird.
Yeah, like something is definitely awry.
Very weird. And it's not just that. Kelly and Judy
Yeah.
also have a problem with her. They also have a problem with her because they straight up told her, I don't see you having a future of being group leader. In year 6? Year 6?
Here's the other thing, too. And this is going back to types of leadership styles.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Victoria is not she's a leader, but not the kind of leader that they want.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, there's the untold leaders are personally my favorite leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just know that they're a good person, and you know that they're a person you can count on.
Mm-hmm.
But once it becomes official, it's almost like a different thing.
Yeah.
So maybe, that's just another thing to throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
As a maybe. But the reality of the situation is, for this entire Victoria situation, and even like the DCC situation, which I think we got a lot of exposure for that,
Mm-hmm.
is that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's having a whistleblower come out of the DCC is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Mm-mm.
And I think there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also that kind of falls in the line of, like, cult.
Yeah.
That might fall in the line of that.
It's cultish. I also was thinking, like, sorority.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, having that line of sisterhood, like, people who will always have your back. The only people that truly know are the people who are in that group. Like, just very much gives sorority with the view, like, the way they look and stuff like that. And it's, like, I think one of the girls mentioned that in the documentary, where they're like, I didn't go to college, so I didn't get that sorority experience. And that's what I imagine this feels like.
No, I already feel iffy about sororities.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. But sororities are they're the whole thing.
They're not great.
No.
In my opinion, they're not. Yeah.
What else? I don't know. Do we have anything else? Did we touch on it all?
There's one more thing I wanted to add, going back to, like, the leader thing. I think Kelly's considered, like, a leader, but I think Charlotte's the biggest one.
Yeah,
not
she's
like
the big boss.
and I say leader as in, like, potential cult leader. Because Charlotte was the one that said, these girls do it for more than just the money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, by the way, terrible thing to say.
Terrible.
Absolutely rotten thing to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Especially when you're in charge of their money. Like,
right.
You are in charge of how much money they make.
Yeah. And, I've been seeing on TikTok, too, like, back when it was trendy,
Mm-hmm.
that the girls should boycott.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't think they will.
No, they won't.
Because they don't see the problem with making literal minimum wage.
Working a full-time job on top of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
And the demands that are beyond, like, the demands of a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
but paying like it's a part-time job.
Yeah.
So that's also something I wanted to touch on, too,
Mm-hmm.
was just that it's that one disgusting, deplorable comment that was made by freaking Charlotte. Boo.
Ugh, boo, Charlotte. Yes, we love, yay, we love women in power. Boo, Charlotte, for...
Boo specifically Charlotte.
Yeah, for abusing that power over girls who just are planning their whole lives to do this one thing.
Yeah. And this team, it stands out so much differently than it does with other companies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell because, I don't know if you know this, but there have been, I think this is probably going to be the last thing we're going to touch on before we end it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm not keeping track of time. But there's a lot going out right now, and this will be a different episode. There's a lot going out right now about lawsuits.
Yeah.
That dancers in dance companies are filing against the companies.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll speak out on mistreatment.
Yeah.
And these dancers are pretty, and that's also relating to times changing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, my stance is that I fully support the dancers in advocating for themselves. Because
Absolutely.
they deserve it.
They should unionize.
They did.
They did?
So there was a company in Texas. It was a dance company in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
They unionized and demanded for better wages,
Mm-hmm.
and the company fired all of them. The company fired all the dancers in retaliation, and then the next day they hosted an audition to replace their entire company.
Wow.
But this is the difference, right? Because these cheerleaders or dancers,
Mm-hmm.
they're not aware of the treatment that's being done to them.
Mm.
They think that this is normal. But in other companies, and it was definitely similar, I'm not, this is how it is in 2024. Other dancers are finally realizing their worth,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing what they should do. I'm not saying that's what they should do, even though it's what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're advocating for better treatment and, safety, and they're advocating for all these things that should have been in place years ago.
Yeah.
So it's also the fact that these cheerleaders are just, they don't see anything else besides that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. They think this is normal, and I do worry, I'm never going to take a class with a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Not that I would, not that any of them would come to where I live.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it because if they believe, if they're following these rules and they believe that this is okay, just by being on the team is being complicit to being okay with.
Yeah.
With these kind of rules that are just really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to work with any Dallas. If I ever become rich and famous, and I become Grey's Anatomy, and I become the next Debbie Allen, which cannot happen because I'm white. Nothing can beat Debbie Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll be the non-binary Debbie Allen. I don't know. I'm sorry that, but that came out because Debbie Allen is an icon, and that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
But but whenever I become a well-known, I say when I really
When
Yeah.
When?
When I become like a well-known like advocate, which my big thing is like gender inclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I want to be able to say that I don't condone what has happened in my past. Um, After I left my studio,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to condone anything of what happened. Condone means accept, right? Am I
Mm-hmm.
wording it right?
Yeah. Condone is accept. Condemn is
Okay.
yeah.
I don't want to condone the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what power looks like. Like to
Yeah.
be able to be a respected person in society and being able to say, "Hey, I watched the documentary and this is not okay."
Mm-hmm. I think I do want to push back a little bit. I
Yeah.
actually do think that I don't think it's about the fact that they're unaware and they think it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that they are aware, but they don't care. I think they don't care. I think the prestige of being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader means more to them than the poor work conditions or the poor environment that they're putting themselves into. They're intentionally putting themselves in a toxic environment. Everybody knows the environment that it is. Like, CMT's been out for a very long time. So it's like, it's not that they're unaware. I think it's like, that kind of emotional manipulation thing. It's like, you just want it so bad that you're willing to take the risks. Like the jumping split, right?
Yeah.
That they land into. You know that is going to cause you problems for the rest of your life. Like, you know, like, you're going to have hip problems. Like, you know you are causing, for some, irreversible damage to your body. They don't care. They don't care because to be able to call yourself a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader,
you have to be able to do the jump split.
yeah. And to them, that means everything. To them, that means more than the damage that they will do to their body. Just to even do it for 1 year. And that's the problem. Like, I think that's the issue. Why? And part of that is through the audience, right? Like, that's, and I think, I don't want to go too deep into this because we could talk about this for hours, but
oh, for sure,
that's the value that we as society put on just celebrity status in general, right? Like, we put so much value and stock into the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. It's so prestigious. Like, because I feel like you could be any NFL cheerleader and people would be like, okay. But if you say you're a DCC, that means something. It means everything to some people. So they're like, yeah, I'll go through hell and be in a cult-like thing and, come on, just completely devastate myself just to be able to have a glimpse of this. It's messed up.
Yeah. That definitely makes a lot more sense than what I was saying. So what is your perspective on after they leave? Like when, like, do you think that after leaving DCC, do you think that they come out of it with the same belief that Kelly and Judy have?
I think so. And honestly, I think part of it is because, like, whenever you're in something so bad, like, some people's responses are to use the bright moments and the happy moments to cloud the negative things. And I think it actually gets worse when you leave that environment. Because, like, when you're in that environment, you're like, oh man, like, these practices are really long. My body really hurts. My body's on fire. My brain hurts, like, everything, right? But when you leave, you don't really remember all that pain that you went through. So now you're just like, man, I miss being with those people. I miss being out on the football field. You get that sense of nostalgia that kind of clouds your judgment on what you went through. And that, I think it's more of like the nostalgia of the past. Like, this is going to be so off topic, but it's relevant. I just went to this event at I was about to say it, but then that gives in a way of where I am and where we live, so I'm not going to. I was at a hospital, very prestigious hospital, and the president of said hospital was like, man, my residency was like the best times of my life. Sometimes I wish I could go back to my residency days. Excuse me? Your residency days where you were working 100+ hours a week, working 36 hours in a row, and that's like what the like residency students are going through right now is unionizing. It's just like the dancers. Why did we accept those things in the past? Like, that's really bad, working 36 hours in a row. You should be advocating for that. So it's like, for you to say that those were the best time of your lives, you wish you could go back. Why? Why would you want to go back into that time of suffering? I think it's a nostalgia effect, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like, you just miss being in that group of people. Like, even now at college, right? Like, I haven't been in college for over a year now. I miss the good parts of college. Like, I miss being with you regularly and all our friends regularly. Stuff like, man, I miss those days. But it makes me forget about the crappy parts of college that I really hated. Because I'm so far removed from it now. So I'm like, yeah, I miss college. I'd love to go back. Best years of my life. Are they? Are they? Or is my brain just protecting me and getting rid of the trauma that I experienced when I was there and only remembering the good stuff? I don't know. Did I answer the question?
I think you did. I think you covered it, especially with talking about like the adjustment period of like people leaving. I don't know, like when I graduated, I was like, thank goodness. No, I mean, the way that I look at my college experience, and I know we're off topic, but this is kind of related, that and our experiences were a little different. As you know, based on our tangents that we would go on for hours and hours and hours. There was one significant part of my college experience that was horrible. It was horrendous, and I was constantly in survival mode just trying to make it through.
Yeah.
Which you would think, in this specific degree, you wouldn't. It would be about doing what you love, but it wasn't. It wasn't like that. And so I guess those stick out more to me than, like, there were a lot of good parts, but also I just think because you graduated a year prior, I was like, oh, my people. Yeah. Anyways, that's besides the point, though. But going back to, I mean, one of the other things that was mentioned in the documentary, which is why I bring this up, is the people who retired and that emptiness that they feel after leaving something that is so significant to them. It's almost like a chapter in their life.
Yeah.
And they don't, nothing can prepare you for it. Like, there's, like, the coaches didn't prepare you for it.
Yeah.
Once you're out, you're gone.
And I think that's what makes it different from, like, a sorority. Like, they have very similar things, but once you're in a sorority, you're always in the sorority. Like, they're constantly doing events and stuff like that. And it's like, DCC does that too, but you, at the end of the day, once you're retired, you can't
come back.
You can't put on your uniform and go out on the field. I mean, they did that one little performance thing that they did all together. That was cute. But that was really cute. That's a high. That was really cute and really fun. I loved that they did that. But yeah, you're not prepared. Like you said, like, you're just not prepared for that feeling of loss when you were in an environment and now it's gone. Like, that's something that, I know we keep talking about college, but that was something that
it's basically college.
Yeah.
DCC was basically college.
Yeah, it's like when I left, like when I left SGA, like SGA is the thing I miss the most from college, and it's like SGA was hell on earth sometimes being with those people, but I never felt more fulfilled doing that work and being with those group of people, like with that group of people. So then when I graduated and I was no longer with that group of people, I was no longer in that organization, I was no longer moving towards making our campus better. I don't know, I felt like a shell. I don't want to say a shell of myself because I didn't feel like a shell of myself, but it was like,
what next?
What next? I felt like I was like, what? Because that was my purpose. I felt like I was doing what I was set to do. I was like, this is what I meant to do. I meant to lead people. I meant to mentor people. Like, this is what I'm doing. And then when I left and I no longer was doing that, like, my job has nothing to do with that now, it felt weird. It felt off. I didn't feel like myself for a long time. Like, I'm starting to feel like myself now. But it's like, and that's just me with a school organization. When you're something as big as DCC, I can't even imagine how traumatizing that might have been to lose that. Devotion, too. Just like how we were talking about earlier. Like, you're devoted to that organization. And you're still in it, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And that's why, going back to Victoria and her mother, I think that was something she never got rid of. And then you want to live vicariously through your children, so you push your dreams onto your children. That might not have been for them. It might not have ever been for them.
And you can tell by their personalities that Victoria is definitely like her strength does not lie within DCC. There are better things out there for her.
Yeah.
Especially in comparison to her mother. My gosh, Victoria is so much like more tolerable than her mom, and always as a dancer, as a performer.
Yeah.
Like, you can just tell by the whole, like, introduction. When they were introducing, like, Victoria is extraordinary, and she can go on. And I hope that she does become an advocate. And I hope, like, I hope that she recovers.
Yes.
First.
Yeah.
But she would make for a really good advocate. But I just hope that she can, like, put her mom aside.
Yeah.
Because her mom is very clearly, like, from what I saw in the documentary.
Yes.
Because I'm not making allegations against what I don't know them, I can't speak, but whatever.
But from the actions.
From what I've seen on Netflix and from what I've seen on Reddit.
Yeah. Because it's like, back to, I know we keep talking about this, but like back to like the eating thing. Like, you could see her encouraging bad behaviors in Victoria when it came to her diet. And encouraging bad behaviors and not doing enough to discourage the bad behaviors. That's where the issue lies. And it's like, I mean, we're not parents, so we don't know. But I think it's like when you want something so bad for your kids and it doesn't work out, then you don't know what to do. And Victoria has no other plan. And then you get scared for your kid's future. And you're like, what's my kid going to do? And now she's in this horrible position. I don't want to make assumptions, but I mean, I think she said this. I think she kind of felt guilty. Like, she felt like part of it was her fault that Victoria had such a downward spiral. Her mom, anyway.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of guilt, too, that I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that was a lot.
Yeah.
Ugh. What a mess.
You know, that needed a full episode, because that situation was, the whole DCC, like, it's just extremely messy. Like, as you think about it, it just, like differing opinions form. Like, you don't really know, so you just kind of have to, like, do your best and infer. Like, obviously, like, I've made assumptions.
Yeah, always.
But that doesn't necessarily, like, this is just our take. That doesn't mean that this is actually, like, accurate.
Yeah.
To what's happening on the team, because we don't know anything.
No.
Victoria's our only whistleblower. Maybe there'll be another whistleblower.
Maybe, and I think, like, honestly, one thing I do appreciate about the documentary in general is that it just gives room to start conversations.
Yeah.
And it's like deeper things too. And like, because I'm not normal and can't watch things normally, I'm always analyzing and finding what is the purpose of having this? Why are we watching this, and what can we talk about to make this worthwhile?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this whole past hour and a half kind of shows it. Like, there's so many things to talk about that's more than just the organization. It's like, it goes deeper than that. It goes to the culture of dance. It goes to the culture of society in general. Like, there's so many things. It's more than DCC. And yeah, it's parental. Like, we were even just talking about parental relationships and eating disorders. Yeah. Like, there's so much. We didn't even talk about...
Yeah, I already know what you're going to say.
We did not even talk about the sexual assault. Oh,
we literally...
my God.
I was about to say we did talk about the, like, sexualization of the dancers and how they're treated.
Ugh! Do you know what I hated? And I hated that they included this. Sorry, I just got a burst of energy. Do you remember when... I don't know what this group of men was. I don't know what they were here for, but they were getting a tour of, like, the facilities, and they were, like, looking at the posters, and they're like, yeah, you could pick a favorite cheerleader. There's no rules.
Oh my, I remember that.
Yeah, they're like, football players aren't allowed to date the cheerleaders, but there's no rules about guys like us dating the cheerleaders. Gross. Absolutely gross. Ew, disgusting. I was like, that's absolutely revolting. And that's part of where it's like, I was giving praise to DCC for protecting the girls, but then it does stuff like that, where it's not DCC's fault that these people were hired, but it's like, hello? I hope changes were made to this staffing thing, because it's like, and I hope rules were added, because there's no rules that staff can't date cheerleaders.
Thank you for watching this episode of Dissecting Dance Kicking It with Ren podcast. If you can hear the wonderful background music, those are water bottles. This is your sign that you should relax and drink some water. Anyways, a new episode will be uploaded every other Thursday. Thank you for watching.